draft. We'll see what happens. But anyways, so Rory McIlroy at 11-6 is number one on the board. He, I believe, is number one on the year in DraftKings points scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been trying to find reasons to get off of him. There's just too much narrative around him being a local boy, and you feel like maybe there's going to be too much pressure on him to perform in front of some of his old family and friends, and the locals that are all going to be rooting him on. But I just feel like he's going to be there when it comes down to it on Sunday. Maybe the fans will have a little bit of a hand in rooting him on and giving him the extra boost. But he's been playing too well for too long to have not won a major in the last few years here. So it just kind of feels like he's due to win one. I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up, winning this thing fairly easily. I think his mentality's where it needs to be as far as that goes. So we'll see. I don't know if I had to make like 3 picks, he'd probably be one of them, but we'll have to see how things shake out with ownership. What's his ownership looking like this week? 20 plus?
So the only ownership that I have is Fantasy Alarms. It's the only one I am subscribed to. And they have not always been the greatest, but I can pop it up. It is saying, why is it saying? There it is. DraftKings ownership projections on Fantasy Alarms sortable stats is showing 24.2% for Mr. McIlroy.
Yep. That sounds about right. He's going to be very, very high owned. We'll talk about some fades and some different strategies to differentiate your lineups a bit here, because I don't know if I can swallow that pill at 25%.
Yeah, that's big, and I don't know what they're using for a basis. This is always way different than what we look for at the whatever site that Mr. Mark uses when he cares to join us. He's got like a big boy job now or something and doesn't want to hang out with us anymore.
I know, the guy moved to North Carolina. It's like he lost his Skype or something.
Right, he just kind of left us all behind. I mean, it's just sad. Anyways, so it's showing Rory at 24.2, and the only one more than him is Patrick Cantlay at 25.3.
Okay, that makes sense. I think he's underpriced this week, even though he's only played one Open Championship before this year. So
yeah, I mean, he's down at 9,000 flat, and that's what I heard all day today, and all the stuff I was listening to was he's an obvious underpriced guy, but he's also going to be heavily owned, so watch out for that. And according to Fantasy Alarms projections, yes, absolutely. I don't know. It's difficult to play a guy at 25. It's difficult to play.
It is. I guess it depends on what kind of contest you're into, but if you're trying to win a big tournament, I don't know. It's going to be hard to have an edge on the field.
Sure. Well, the next guy down is Brooks Koepka, who has had an outstanding year, and he is projected at only 14.9, so 10% lower ownership, percentage-wise. I mean, yeah. So he's showing as the third highest owned, huh? No, it's Patrick Cantlay at 25, McIlroy at 24, Stenson at 23.8, Adam Scott 22.3, Kuchar 21.4, Xander 19.8, Rose at 17.2, Hideki at 15.7, RCB at 15.3, and then Brooks at 14.9. So he's about the 10th or 11th.
Yeah. Okay. So he's getting disrespected again.
Of course. He's just going to have to start putting more people in headlocks.
Hey, that guy can do whatever he wants right now. He's finished top 2 in his last 4 majors. Who does that, man? That's the first time since Tiger, so he's kind of in his own little class right now.
Yeah, it's going to be hard if that ownership stays that way. I mean, obviously people are on McIlroy. Obviously people jump on Woods as well during these things, although he just had some press release the other day or some kind of comment on Twitter that he was exhausted after winning the U.S.
Winning the Masters?
No, Masters, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he's showing it too. He's taking a lot of time off, which I get. You got to make sure your body's right. I'm just not sure he's ready for the rigors and the beating of a 4-day grind at the British Open. It's just tough to see him coming out and succeeding, unfortunately. I don't think the course sets up bad for him. He can tee down and he can take advantage of his approach game into the greens. And he's got a great short game. I'm just not sure he can physically and mentally do it for 4 days.
And I think I'm right with you there. I'll probably have a small amount of exposure to him because you just can't count him out. But on 19 lineups, I'll probably have him in 2, maybe.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it plays out.
The other thing with Rory, too, I mean, it just gets harder and harder to fade him the more you look at the numbers. He's finished top 5 in his last 4 British Open starts. He missed out in 2015. He had like some weird soccer injury or something back then. But he won in 2014, 5th and 4th in 16 and 17, and then finished runner-up, tied with a bunch of dudes last year. So it's tough to it's just tough to count him out. But let's talk about some guys we also like up here at the top of the price range.
So for the 10,000, that's kind of it. I mean, obviously, DJ is an excellent golfer. Jon Rahm's an excellent golfer. I mean, I don't think anybody has had more top 10s this year than Jon Rahm.
No, Rahm's been a machine. He's not showed great form in the British, but it's very well known that he's a great links player. Just won at the Scottish Open a couple weeks ago. The guy's won at a higher clip on the European Tour than he has in the States. I think he just likes links style golf better than he does the American style. At least based on the way he plays when he's over there. So we'll see. I think Rahm's a great play, but I also think he's going to be, as you said, very high owned. Hearing a little bit of buzz about
Rahm and Justin Johnson. I'm sorry, Dustin Johnson and DJ and Rahm are both 13.9, 13.8.
Okay. Yeah, I was actually hoping that DJ might be a little lower owned than that, because if his ownership was down around 10 or below, I may have to take a bite of that. But knowing that, I might just stick with fading the top tier and going down to Rose as the top price guy.
Honestly, that's where I'm at. I got a little bit of those top guys here or there, but there's so much good value in that 9,000 and 8,000 range that I had a hard time paying up for the top guys, to be honest. Most of my lineup started with Rose or Xander as the highest guys.
Yeah, I mean, the 7,000 range is stacked too. You got a bunch of world-class players that even some of them have great form in the British, so it's tough to say. I don't know. It's tough to say that you should start your lineup with one of these top studs, but nobody would also be shocked if they won. So it's a very interesting strategy this week as far as roster construction goes.
Yeah, that's why I decided to just play every 25-cent ticket I had earned and just see where it lies, just for fun. Try some different strategies, play a couple goofy lineups, and see where it goes. So starting here, Justin Rose at 9.9. I mean, he's kind of like all signs point to Justin Rose for me. I mean, he's the guy with like 3 check marks, a circle, an underscore, and a scribble. You know, he's kind of my guy at the top. Yeah,
and I'm kind of going like you and Chris were talking a little bit. I'm going more based on gut play this week than I am stats. Normally, I'm very stats oriented, as you guys probably know. But the week that I had a lot of success a couple weeks ago, a lot of it was just watching guys' trends as far as their form, thinking how the course would set up for them without ever seeing the course before. And that's kind of how we got to do it this week, because we haven't seen them play this course before. So there's some guys up top. I like guys that have shown, very good pedigree in majors. Guys that feel like they're just ready to break through, that also have good form coming in. So Justin Rose definitely leads that pack at the top. I think Fleetwood's going to be pretty highly owned again. He's a guy that I wouldn't be surprised to see him up top, but he's not great around the greens and he's not a great putter. That's just too high of a price for me to pay for him.
Fantasy Alarm has got Fleetwood at 8.2% owned.
Yeah, I think that's partially because of price. I mean, 9,700, he's the 7th price guy in this field. That just seems a little expensive for my taste this week, especially with my balanced roster construction and already liking Rose, as we've discussed. I do like Xander just below him, man. He's just a guy that he'll linger for a couple days and then just explode on the weekend. So I like that kind of guy with a lot of potential to go on a run on the weekend. He could easily, if the weather gets rough on Saturday in the afternoon, he could easily go out in the morning and fire 6-7 under and be right there within a couple shots heading to Sunday. So,
any love for Francesco Molinari, last year's champion?
No, I'm not loving Francesco this week. I just don't think his form's been very good. he came in last year riding the hottest streak of his entire career. And he just hasn't shown any consistency this year. I wouldn't be shocked because the course sets up pretty well for him, but just the signs don't point to him, at least as far as I'm concerned. I'm also fading Ricky, also fading Bryson. You know, the guys I'm focusing on are really Rose, Xander in that 9K range, and as high owned as he's going to be, it's hard not to like Patrick Cantlay this week.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, he's in my lineup optimizer that I put together because 19 lineups is too much to do by hand for me because I'm lazy. But yeah, I have no Thomas, no Bryson, no Fowler, 0.
JT, any love for JT? Because I've been hearing some talk about him this week, especially in the betting world. So I think he's around 30-1, which for him is a pretty good bargain
Nah, he's dead to me.
He's dead to you?
He's dead to me. I've picked him twice this year. Both times he missed the cut.
Well, there you go. Never play him again. I think that's a sound strategy.
Never. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. Right, before we dip below 9,000, though, I got a problem.
I'm sure you have more than one problem.
Oh, yeah. Problem solved now.
All right.
Just cracked open a beautiful Demon Cleaner Belgian-style triple at about 10.2% alcohol. Beautifully malty, has that nice kind of clove and white pepper spiciness with just that touch of that like tropical banana-ish esters from the yeast. It's a beautiful beer.
Oh, that sounds glorious.
It is quite good. It's good. It can be found on tap in many places around the state of Michigan, courtesy of Witch's Hat Brewing Company.
Nice little plug there.
Yeah, you're welcome. Someday they'll pay me for that.
Perhaps. Maybe somebody will.
Perhaps. Who knows? All right, my friend. Shall we dip into the 8,000 range? What do you think?
Let's dip. Let's do it.
Dippity doo-dah. So right off the bat here, our interesting name, Jordan Spieth, has any chance of regaining his form for this week? I know you're not a big fan.
How was the English? I just think this course is going to set up too difficult off the tee. That's really been his glaring weakness in this game. Everything else has been kind of up and down, but he just can't find the fairway consistently. And he doesn't hit it long enough to make up for that lack of accuracy. So he's a guy that even though he's going to be probably very low owned, he's not a guy that I can pull the trigger on this week.
I have a question. Is putting high? I know we didn't talk a lot about stats, but is putting accuracy and proximity, how are you feeling about those two? Is that super important this week?
I mean, proximity is always going to be up there because you have to have your guys giving themselves opportunities. I think putting is just so up and down. You can't really predict it, especially being
it's
on
a crazy green setup here.
It is. I think the greens are very big, but they're kind of humped, so you have to be on the right section of the green to give yourself good chances. So I do love the proximity stat. Jordan just doesn't set up to me this week as somebody I want to play. There's so many guys in the 8K range.
Well, the four guys directly below him are just, popping every way.
Stenson, Matsuyama, Day, Kuchar, Scott. Those guys are all priced below Jordan Spieth, and I think they all have a lot higher chance of success this week.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at short game for sure. I mean, scrambling stats around the greens, you have to be able to get up and down around here because you're going to miss some greens. Spieth checks out as far as that goes, but the guys below him, I think, are all going to outperform him as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I'm really high on Mr. Kuchar for this event. Hideki, I don't think Hideki wins. I don't really think that this is a complete setup for him, but I think a top 10, top 12 is almost guaranteed. The guy's been so steady. And Stenson, I like a lot. Stenson's in a lot of my lineups.
Yeah, I think it's one of those weeks for Hideki where he kind of backdoors his way into a top 10. I don't expect him to contend from the start. But I could easily see him backdooring his way, shooting a 500 or 600 on Sunday.
I see him like basically shooting like a 68 every day and just kind of being right there.
Well, that might get him right in contention. 12 under could easily be in the mix. Yeah, I mean, I like Kuchar too. I think it's the kind of course that sets up for the plotter, the guy that hits